It is February 2021 and we are in the midst of Black History Month. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. Why? Why do we celebrate Black History Month? Well, I think it's important for Black people to understand our history, to know our history, to learn from our history, and to take that information going forward. But I think what I'm going to be talking about today is more about how other people view Black History Month. I hadn't intended on doing this video, but events of the past couple of days necessitated. So of course, no surprise that as Black History Month started, you have the calls of, what about White History Month? Why isn't there any White History Month? Well, actually, there are White History Months. I've informed several individuals on social media of that fact, and they don't seem to be too concerned about White History Month. They just thought there wasn't one, and they wanted to use that as a basis to try to interfere and criticize the existence of Black History Month. So, for your information, Irish History Month is next month, March. I want to make sure all the people who are up in arms about it are celebrating what Irish History Month next month. I really am interested to see this, because the fact that they didn't even know it existed is in itself quite telling. Italian History Month is in October. So once again, you have another opportunity to celebrate a White History Month. I want to see y'all celebrating. But it's becoming evident, it's been evident, it becomes evident that there are people who just don't like Black people, point blank period. And you can say, no, it's about discrimination and I feel discriminated against, but you clearly didn't even bother to do a Google search on Irish History Month, on Italian History Month. Like, you never gave a damn to actually determine whether or not those months exist. You just wanted to, and at no other time did you ever think of White History Month, of Irish History Month, than when Black History Month started. That's the only time you decided to ask about White History Month. Why is that? Clearly, it's not because you care about Irish History Month. Clearly, it's not because you care about Italian History Month. Clearly, it's because you don't care about Black History Month. Actually, you do care. You care that it exists. You care that its existence bothers you. And why is that? It's not. I heard somebody say something about individuals feel alienated. And that sounds, no, that does not make any sense to me. It does not make any sense that somebody else discussing their history, somebody else learning about their history, somebody else giving you an opportunity to learn about their history alienates you. In fact, that is the opportunity for you to become closer to someone else. If somebody is about to tell you about themselves, if somebody is about to tell you where they're from, about their past, information about them, that's not divisive. That's inclusive. That's an opportunity for y'all to grow closer. The fact that it becomes divisive means that you do not give a fuck about that person. That's what it means. So if Black history offends you, what it means is you do not give a fuck about Black people. You don't want to know about where they come from. You don't want to know about their culture. You don't want to know anything about them. You just want them, if you even want them to exist, you want them to sit down, shut the fuck up, and do whatever you deem is worthwhile. You want them to just to erase their culture, erase their any remnants of who they are, and just assimilate to completely whatever you decide they should be. That's not acceptable to me. That's not something I'm ever going to consider or do. So you can kiss my black ass if that's what you want. Um, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But that's what a lot of these individuals are really, that's the energy and area where a lot of these individuals are actually coming from. Because they're saying that by somebody else existing, it is an affront to them. That's beyond narcissistic. Like that's, and I'm struggling to find the word. It's pathological. Like it shows just a deep-seated, see, like even benign neglect is like, okay, I wouldn't want to hear. But the fact that some people just have to jump out of the woodwork and say, stop this. No, you've got a problem with black people. Clearly. The problem isn't black people. The problem isn't black history. The problem is you. I have no problem hearing about Irish history. I have no problem learning about Italian history. Why do you have a problem learning about me? That's not divisive. This is an opportunity for diverse people to understand each other. Like I've learned things about Jewish culture. Like, wow, I was surprised. Like I didn't know the significance, and there's still so much more about other cultures I have to learn. But like the significance of certain holidays, it's like, wow, okay. And then when you can see differences in culture, it's interesting. When you can see similarities, like despite just like differences in location, geography, but you can spot similarities between different cultures. Like, say, wow. So we have these differences, which make us unique, which make us individuals, but we have these commonalities, which is really interesting considering how far apart we grew up from each other. You know, the different areas, the different circumstances. These are things that people that actually care about other people, these are the reactions they would have. But these aren't the reactions I'm seeing from a lot of these people. A lot of people out here are having other types of reactions. And I'm not going to pretend like these reactions are rational. I'm not going to pretend like these reactions are based upon good faith. I'm not going to pretend any of that because they're not. They're clearly not. Me talking about myself shouldn't be divisive. Because that's what that is saying is me existing is divisive. You want me to conform to whatever your standards are in order for me to be acceptable to you. And that is unacceptable to me. That is unacceptable to many black people. So, Black History Month, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to learn more about my history. It's an opportunity for you to learn about black people. It's an opportunity for people from diverse backgrounds to become closer. If you choose to. If you choose that, you know, I'm good. I'm kind of focused on other things. That's you. That's your choice. But if you choose that you're just going to jump up and have something negative to say about it, like, no, I'm not going to co-sign like that's normal. Like your intention, your this overwhelming desire to interfere with somebody else discussing themselves, learning about themselves, teaching other people about themselves. No, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem. It's not a we problem. It's funny that individuals will talk about they hate PC culture and censorship, but in the next breath, I don't want to hear about Black history. Oh, so your version of political correctness is not talking about race. That's your version of political correctness. You don't want to hear about race. I didn't create race. Black people didn't start this. It happened. It's a fact. It's history. Deal with it. Learn from it. And this notion that by ignoring it, it goes away. By ignoring racism, that's absurd. What problem can you solve by ignoring it? So you can't simultaneously claim to hate PC culture and then try to silence people when they're talking about their history. When I start talking about Black history, all of a sudden you have a problem with it. You can't simultaneously claim that, you hate PC culture, you hate the silencing, and then you're mad that Black History Month exists. You claim that that people get sensitive when they talk about race, but you're the one that's sensitive when we talk about race. And then there's people who say, well, it's divisive because of racism and slavery and all these bad things. And I'm saying, if I'm telling a story about a human being that's being tortured, whipped, beaten, brutalized, demeaned, robbed of their dignity, of their humanity by another human being, what makes you identify with the person committing these atrocities? I didn't tell you to. Why do you identify with that person as opposed to feeling empathy and horror at the actions that are happening to the other human being? Why do you identify with the person committing these atrocities? Once again, it's not a me problem. It's a you problem. I remember when Birth of a Nation, the latest edition, came out, not the 1919 version. The one about Nat Turner came out. And in the trailer, it shows, a bunch of scenes from the movie, and then it says, "Stand with us. Stand with us." And that's when it really hit home. Because a lot of people saying, oh, that movie's divisive. Why? It's about people being brutalized and people fighting back against oppression. Who are you rooting for? Thank you for checking out this episode of Escaping the Echo Chamber. Happy African History Month, and I'll see you next time.